Hi guys, what's up? This is Shivadi from eGadgets for you. Now in this video I'll show you the comparison between the Samsung Galaxy J5 on the right hand side of the screen and the Samsung Galaxy J7 on the left hand side of the screen. This was a long overdue video and just got both the handsets, so I'm preparing the video of late. Let us start with a physical overview at first. Now the Samsung Galaxy J5 and the J7 at the top, bottom, sides, back are quite similar, identical, apart from the sizes and the shape. Now on the top for the Samsung Galaxy J5 we do have the Qualcomm branding present over here, but for the J7 it's not over there. Whereas in the front end you will find for both the handset are the LED light. Mind you, this is not the LED flash but a light that they have opted for over here. The earpiece, the sensors, a 5 megapixel shooter, the Samsung branding. The Samsung Galaxy J5 has a 5-inch of screen, whereas it's 5.5-inch of screen for the Samsung Galaxy J7. Now both the handsets has a home button, the back button and the multitasking button over here. The left hand side of both the handsets does comprise of the volume rockers. Looks good, although made out of plastic. The right hand side has a lock screen button or the power on and off button, and at the back of Samsung Galaxy J5 and the Samsung Galaxy J7 we have the 13 megapixel shooter with LED flash, the speaker grills, so the Samsung branding and the Duos and 4G branding for both. Just at the bottom for both the handsets you will find the USB connector, the USB power charger over here, the microphone and the 3.5mm jack input port also present over here. Both the handsets are made out of plastic. Both looks good and looks premium. The side, as you know by now, that for the budget and the low range handsets, Samsung does comes up with a premium plastic coating at the side edges. So there is no difference whatsoever for this also in this particular devices. Now both the Samsung Galaxy J5 and the Galaxy J7 has a removable back and which reveals the battery. Now the Samsung Galaxy J5 has a 2600 mAh battery and it's 3000 mAh battery for J7. Both uses a dual micro SIM slot, and just at the top of the primary micro SIM slot you will find the slot for to add the additional micro SD card. Although there is a difference in figures for the battery for both the handsets, yet the performance does not vary. Both has a great lasting capability. With regular high usages you can easily get 1.5 days of use for both the handsets out of these particular batteries. They also charge very fast, so that way or the other the battery has done some good additions in both the handsets. As both the handsets are targeted for a mid-range sections, quite surprisingly you will find that there is no auto brightness sensors, so you just need to adjust the brightness manually over here. Now similarly if we go to the toggle menu sections you will find that both are identical in each and every respect. You do have the power saving mode for both of them, the flashlight and everything, and the ultra power saving mode also embedded over here. The settings also look similar in both the handsets. The orientations and all are quite similar. Both the handset runs on Android version of 5.1.1, which is Lollipop straight out of the box. So that way you get the latest OS in offering in both the handsets. The main difference comes in the storage. For the Samsung Galaxy J5 you do have a 8 gigs of internal memory, out of which something around 4 gigs is available to the users, whereas it varies for the Samsung Galaxy J7. It's 16 gigs of internal memory for the Galaxy J7, and you do get a healthy around 12 gigs for the user purposes. Now both the handset has the ability to insert a micro SD card and supports up to 128 gigs. Quite interestingly, yet quite importantly, both the handsets, the Samsung Galaxy J5 and the Samsung Galaxy J7 supports the OTG. So the shortage of space, more specifically in the Samsung Galaxy J5, is well maintained by the support of the OTG, where you can carry your important files and movies through the OTG cable or the OTG device. Starting from the settings and yet going to the widgets, the wallpapers, and most importantly the themes, the orientation is quite similar in both the handsets. Of late the Samsung Galaxy theme stores has garnered a lot of interest due to the presence of some great themes available to download for you. The Samsung Galaxy J5 has a 5-inch of screen, whereas it's 5.5-inch of screen for the Galaxy J7. Now both has a Super AMOLED capacitive touchscreen with 16 of colors. Both supports a resolution of 720 x 1280 pixels with the Samsung Galaxy J5 supporting a 294 ppi, whereas the Samsung Galaxy J7 supports a 267 ppi. Now these are amazing features just because of the fact that the Super AMOLED screen on the Samsung Galaxy devices makes it looks premium and gives a grand and a royal feeling in the display of any pictures or any movies or whatsoever for your eyes to view. Now you can see that the brightness, the contrast, the saturations, the viewing angles are just perfect and just superb, just great because of the Super AMOLED display. Ironically, I do not find any difference in the display of both the devices anyway whatsoever. The Samsung Galaxy J5 scores a healthy 21,000 in your Antutu benchmark test, and it gives a solid 36,960 for the Samsung Galaxy J7. Figuratively and for the price that both the handsets comes along with, those are great figures. If we dig deep into the device info, you will find the Samsung Galaxy J7, which is on the left hand side of the screen. It runs on a Exynos 7580 chipset that has a octa-core processor clocked at 1.2 GHz. It supports a GPU of Mali T720 and has 1.5 gigs of RAM. Now for the Samsung Galaxy J5 on the right hand side of the screen, it runs on a Qualcomm Snapdragon 410 chipset with a quad-core 1.2 GHz of processor that runs on a Cortex A53. It has a GPU of Adreno 306. Similarly, it also has a 1.5 gigs of RAM. So that way, the figures are not that drastically different or distant apart from each other, whereas the performance in both the handsets are quite similar. Browsing the net becomes a pure delight in both the handsets. You see that the viewing angles and the pinch to zoom are quite similar in either of the handsets. Now the loading speed, the performance of both the handsets are quite similar. If I go ahead and bring about a full news in either of the handset, you will find that it does loads and does takes similar amount of time. So that way or the other, I should say that the performance is exceptionally great in both the handsets. I prefer the J7 a bit better than the J5 because of a bigger screen. Now the Super AMOLED display makes sure of the fact that you see each and every colors and each and every angles and each and every contrast or saturations just perfect in your normal eyes. Now for the Samsung Galaxy J7 on the top end of the screen and the J5 that is at the bottom, you find that both supports video resolutions in YouTube up to 720p, so that is HD. Now on full volume, if I first go ahead and play a video on the Samsung Galaxy J5.
Welcome to Cook with Shola. Today I am going to make Szechuan chicken. It is plain, simple, Indonesian delicious chicken recipe.
Now similar video again on full volume if I go ahead and play on the Samsung Galaxy J7.
Ingredients are different. So let's have a look at the ingredients. For the marination we need bite size.
You will see that the sound output is quite similar in both the handsets. There is no difference whatsoever and is low at the end of the day. But having said that, the 3.5mm headphones and the calling purposes, each and everything are quite distinct, quite clear and beautiful. So the only complaint that I have is only of the sound display from the internal speakers. But that way or the other, being a budget device, both does performs equally great. Both the Samsung Galaxy J5 and the J7 has been regarded by Samsung as a playing machines and the playing devices. So that way or the other, you will see that both the devices comes pre-installed with some of the gaming apps, but then again you can go to this game zone and you get 3200 worth of gaming purposes free from both the handsets. It was available exclusively from Flipkart at the start of this particular device, but recently it's also available in any Samsung retail stores. Again, we do have the predominant Google apps installed in both the handsets over here, and quite interestingly and quite helpfully, we also have the Microsoft apps inbuilt over here as well. Now this comes in handy for office users, multitasking purposes and each and everything. Both the handsets have a smart manager in use, so that way you can optimize your battery, your storage, your RAM and the device security just with one click over here of Clean All. So orientation wise, performance wise, display wise, I do not find any difference in either of the handsets. The most important aspect that I prefer in any of the handsets from Samsung is a camera. Both have a 13 megapixel shooter at the back with an LED flash and at the front both has a 5 megapixel shooter. Both have the capability to record video at 1080p at 30 frames per second. So it does record full HD videos. That's a additional bonus. Now in the mode section for the Samsung Galaxy J7 you will find that it does have the additional HDR rich tone mode which is missing in the Samsung Galaxy J5. Quite interestingly, even though these are the budget handsets, you have the Pro mode enabled over here from the side that we are used to see in some of the premium handsets from Samsung. So that is a great addition, I must say. Again, you do have the settings in both the handsets where you can go around and play around with them, change the settings and take some of the snaps. Let me guide you through some of the similar pictures that I have taken using the camera of both the devices. Now the J5 is at the bottom and the J7 at the top. You will find for this particular device, the pictures, the contrast, the difference in the angles, each and everything are quite vividly and clearly depicted. Now you see that all the contrast, saturations, the brightness, even the color differences in this particular frame are quite distinct. So that way or the other, the performance is similar for the camera also. Too early for a comment for the camera of both the handsets. If you quite distinctly visualize over here, the Samsung Galaxy J5 has a tad low sharpness and low brightness than that of the J7. I'm not saying that the camera of J5 is not good, but it's a decent one, it's a great one, but the display, the software of the Samsung Galaxy J7 is a bit better than that of the J5. So I should say camera, there is a slight edge in the J7. Even if you very minutely check the selfie that I took with the 5 megapixel shooter of both the camera, the one at the Galaxy J7 does outperform than that of the Galaxy J5 in the department of brightness, the saturations and the sharpness a bit better in the J7 than that of the J5. But those are minor alterations. Now as far as my verdict goes for the Samsung Galaxy J5 and the J7, my opinion is that both the handsets are targeted for gaming purposes. So that way a bigger screen does always comes in handy than that of a slightly smaller screen. 5.5 inch of screen with a good processor and a decent output with a Super AMOLED screen does outperforms in gaming aspect, but J5 does not lags behind in any of the tasks that are being thrown at it also. So it's a difficult choice to make, but the only scenario that can make a decision for you is a bigger screen, and for the camera purpose the J7 does have an edge in terms of the brightness, the saturations and the sharpness and that of the J5, but that is very minute and you can only see the difference if you see them very clearly and very minutely. So depending upon the price, I guess the clear winner in this particular category of the J series is the J7, only because it does have a bigger screen and also it does have a bit of more internal memory, 16 gigs compared to that of the 8 gigs. So 8 gigs is very low compared to the apps and all the features that we find in the apps, Google App Stores nowadays. So that way or the other, my vote is for the Galaxy J7 rather than that of the J5. But then also, due to the budget constraints, if you are willing to go for a Samsung branding and spend small bucks, you can go for J5. It's a decent phone at the end of the day too. Now then again, it's me. Hope this video helps. Please do give a thumbs up and stay subscribed to my channel. I'll catch you guys in my next video very soon. Bye for now.